It's our Q&A portion of this week's topic, the power of self-discovery, understanding your strengths and weaknesses. So let's see what people wanted to know about. The first question, what if I struggle to identify my strengths and weaknesses? That's actually a very common question, and many people struggles with identifying those strengths and weaknesses. It can be challenging to objectively evaluate ourselves, especially if we have a tendency to be self-critical or avoid thinking about our weaknesses altogether. It's important to recognize that this is a normal part of the process, and there are several steps that you can take, including those that I listed in my previous video on Saturday. So start using those steps and make sure that you're actually asking for feedback. I keep saying this and I'm going to repeat it again. It's super important that you find advice, coaching, mentorship, and somebody that can look at you objectively. Start very small and build upon it. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. Just start to see if there are patterns or things that you love doing and the time goes by, and are those things that you can build upon and that you can drive your career around. Whatever it is that comes naturally to you, take a look at it and then try to build on it. Second, how can I use my strengths to advance in my career? I love this. So this works under the assumption that you already identify what you're very good at and now just want to tap into it. So the biggest thing here is to actually start considering how you can enhance your performance in that current role that you have. For example, if you're a great communicator and you might want to take on some projects, make sure that those are projects that require strong communication skills, leading a team, presenting to clients. Additionally, you can use your strengths to seek out new opportunities or take on new challenges that align with that skill set and interest a little bit better. So if you're highly analytical, you might want to explore opportunities to work with data or take on role that requires a deeper understanding of complex problems or complex systems. It's so important to continue to develop those strengths and expand upon that skill set, because oftentimes we think that because it comes naturally to us, we just let it go. You still have to develop it, and that would really start adding value to your career and to your organization. So it's super important that you make sure that you know it, that you articulate it, and that you position yourself that way in the workplace so people know that they can come to you when the opportunity arises. Don't forget about your weaknesses though. I love that you know your strengths, but you'll have some blind spots, and you need to make sure that you're looking at both and that you're mitigating any potential weakness that is there. Third, how can I address my weaknesses without feeling overwhelmed or discouraged? This is actually very good. And I will tell you this, it can be very daunting to confront areas where you might not be as strong. But it's important to remember that everyone has weaknesses and there is always room for improvement. It's essential to approach weaknesses with a growth mindset, acknowledging that improvement, it's required and it's possible. So start by identifying those areas where you want to improve, set some realistic goals and a timeline to achieve them, and break them down in small tasks so they don't become as overwhelming. As always, look for feedback. Feedback from people is critical, and invest on coaching or somebody, a mentor that can improve your skills. And the biggest thing, celebrate your success. You need that in order to stay motivated and don't feel discouraged. So make sure that you pay attention how far you've come, how much you've grown, and even though it's uncomfortable, it will be worth it. All right, next one. What if my weaknesses are holding me back in my career? Well, so a couple of things here. If you feel that your weaknesses are actually making a significant impact on your ability to succeed, you need to address them head on. You need to really consider what is happening, talk to your manager, find out, is there a plan that is specific to you where you can try to offset those weaknesses. It's important to approach this process again with a willingness to learn and to develop those new skills. I also want to mention that sometimes we're in the wrong position. Sometimes we are in a role that doesn't really utilize our strengths and is leaning entirely in our weaknesses. And what happens is that you end up being very resentful, very burnout. So if you find yourself that those areas of weaknesses that you have, it's actually the core piece of your job, I highly recommend that you consider trying to align yourself with something that taps more into your natural geniuses. And last one, Do I focus on my strengths or my weaknesses first? Well, both the strengths and weaknesses, of course, are important to focus on, but it really depends on your current goals and your current situation. So if you're in a position where you need to improve certain skills or overcome a particular weakness to advance in your career, then it might be necessary for you to prioritize those weaknesses. However, if you're looking to improve overall performance and increase job satisfaction, it might be beneficial for you to start focusing on your strengths and finding ways to leverage them in your current role or explore opportunities to use them in new ways. Ultimately, it's about finding that balance, addressing weaknesses, building on strengths to achieve that success and fulfillment in your career. The most successful individuals find an approach that incorporates both, right? They leverage those strengths, they position themselves correctly in the workplace while also addressing and mitigating those weaknesses for long-term growth and success. So super important that you understand your current situation and where do you need to index, but don't lose sight on the other one. Remember, if you focus only on addressing your weaknesses, you might neglect your strengths and miss out on opportunities. And then if you find too much in your strengths all the time, you might become complacent and then have a lot of blind spots and not realize that you have weaknesses and areas where you need to improve. All right, so that's a wrap for Q&A this week, and make sure to tune in next week as we talk about building a strong personal brand. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and send this video to anyone that you think would benefit from it. Send me any questions, and if there's any new ones, I'll make sure to do a new video. I'll do a short sharing more insights and quick learnings. See you next week, and remember, make sure that you continue to cultivate that confidence. Bye.